The vision is clear, and if you don't see that, well, then you're either with them or you're a target. Welcome here to Pros and Cons, the show where I allow you to voice your opinions and where I review the show and talk a little bit about what I liked and didn't like. And let's start things off right away with SAMI ZAYN, Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman, and Bron Breakker in the ring to kick off Monday Night Raw. I love that SAMI ZAYN is getting this opportunity to go up against a main event player who's in a big time push like Seth Rollins is right now. SAMI ZAYN is my absolute favorite in WWE. I love everything that this man brings to the table. He's just like one of the best pure baby faces on the whole roster, but he had an opportunity to take a title shot. Something that like really SAMI ZAYN has been scratching and clawing for. So as a SAMI ZAYN fan, I gotta ask, Sammy, why didn't you take the title shot? I know you want to do it your way, and I know you want to go about it in your own sort of direction and get to the story on your own, your own time. But SAMI ZAYN, it was right there. It was right there for the taking. That's a con. All right, that's a con right there. SAMI ZAYN, I absolutely love you, but why didn't you take the title shot? Let's go into Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez in what I thought was a very fun match. So immediately a big pro right there. I love the dynamic between the two, and what I loved even more is that Rhea Ripley didn't beat Roxanne Perez clean. This ended in a DQ. It helped set up potentially this tag team match going down in the future between Io Sky and Rhea Ripley on the same team versus Roxanne Perez and Julia. Hell, I wouldn't even be surprised if that takes place at Backlash. I also got to give credit to WWE for how they've brought up Roxanne Perez and Julia. A lot of the times what happens is after somebody gets brought up to the main roster, you kind of get lost in the shuffle and there's not a clear direction. The fact that they have a plan right now that they're putting them into a tag team is awesome for me, so that's a big pro. We also had an interaction between Jey Uso and Logan Paul. Logan Paul wants to go after the world title. Now, I know Logan Paul isn't the most beloved character by anybody, by any means at all, but like Logan Paul versus Jey Uso, I think is actually a solid first match for him. It gives everybody a chance to root for Jey Uso, because why would you root for Logan Paul over Jey Uso? So yeah, everybody say it with me. That is a pro. Yeet. But you want to know what's even a bigger pro? Jey Uso super kicking Logan Paul. That man had it coming. He was talking mad trash. Jey Uso went out there and he was more than just the yeet man. He said more than just yeet, which I think is exactly what everybody has been looking for. It feels like a more serious Jey Uso who's toned down the yeet merchandise a bit. He's got the gold yeet chain, don't get me wrong. He's still got the yeet glasses. But also, he's not just wearing a blue yeet shirt anymore. He's looking like a serious main event player. Oh, and also, giant pro to the kid who beat cancer in the front row, who Jey Uso gave the glasses to and hugged him after the segment. Giant pro for that. We had the returning JD McDonough, so that's a big pro. He's back in ring, and he looked great in ring as well, next to Finn Balor. But then the War Raiders beat the Judgment Day after losing their tag titles at WrestleMania very quick. I don't know what's going on with this story. I have absolutely no idea what's going on in the tag team division. Yeah, look, it happened. The match itself, though, was fun. Very entertaining match between JD McDonough and Finn Balor versus the War Raiders. I highly recommend watching it. I thought that they worked their butts off, and overall, it was an enjoyable matchup, so I'll give that a pro. Also, I love how Penta is sort of being included into this story with the Judgment Day, and it does feel like he potentially will be bringing the Lucha Bros back. We heard it mentioned on TV, so the fact that we're getting towards a Lucha Bros reuniting on WWE TV is great for me, so I'm excited for that. Awesome promo between Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria. I think Lyra Valkyria is one of the purest baby faces on the entire roster, and she now has an identity. She's not just trying to become the next Becky Lynch. She's trying to become the first Lyra Valkyria. I loved it. It was going to be a great story regardless of how they told it, but the fact that they're leaning into Lyra Valkyria being her own woman, not being the next Becky Lynch, and that she vows to be a better person than Becky Lynch, loved every second of it. That is a giant up. It's exactly what the Women's IC Championship needs, and the fact that this is now taking place at Backlash in a match, a mid-card title in the women's division, there at Backlash, hell yeah. But then Becky Lynch sneak attacked Lyra Valkyria from behind. Boo, Becky, that's a con. Now, I know people are going to be out here saying, con, why are you not giving more cons? There's little things that weren't great. And I agree, there were some things that weren't amazing on Monday Night Raw. So one con that I do have to give is just Ivy Nile and Stephanie Vaquer. It's not because the match was bad, but like not a ton of story outside of just, hey, Stephanie's here. She's on the main roster now. We're going to work her into a match. However, it's also a pro because this gets her exposed to a larger audience. It doesn't feel as if like there's a clear-cut story right now for Stephanie Vaquer as opposed to, what's going on with Julia and Roxanne. It does feel like she still has a lot of work ahead of her in NXT, and she's just up here on the main roster, almost as a Ilya Dragunov-like place where Ilya was on Monday Night Raw for that one-off for the NXT Championship and then back down to NXT for a little more. So I do have to say this is a bit of a con in the overall grand scheme of things because this time could have went to maybe building up another women's wrestler already on the main roster. However, in saying that, the match was great. Ivy Nile looked fantastic, and you could make the argument that Ivy Nile actually benefited a ton from being in the ring with Stephanie Vaquer. Her stock continues to go up. Ivy Nile looked incredible. Stephanie Vaquer looked incredible. And thus, I don't know why I could give it a con for the actual match itself. Like I said, the only con is just that maybe somebody else could have had that spot. And I'm just trying to find some negatives here because I'm being overly positive. So let's give that a pro to even it out. Pat McAfee responded to the haters, and I know not everybody loves Pat McAfee, and he's not everybody's cup of tea, but I personally find him hella enjoyable. I enjoy his work, and I think he's a great addition to the commentary table. Does he sometimes say things that you're like, okay, why did you say that? Absolutely, Pat. But also at the end of the day, I think he is so entertaining, and he brings a life to that commentary table that just wasn't there before. But in terms of his promo against Gunther and setting up the match with Gunther, I got one thing to say. Pat, you're gonna die. Yeah, Pat's gonna be dead. It's over for Pat, all right? It's good luck, Pat. But regardless, the promo was excellent. He had me buying into every word he said. It's no surprise that Pat McAfee is one of the best on the microphone. He's just great at speaking. But yeah, giant pro for this segment. Awesome stuff. And I know people are going to be like, dude, it's Pat McAfee against Gunther at a pay-per-view. Like, what are we doing here? That spot could also go to somebody else. And true, but also Backlash seems to have that celebrity inclusion. And I like that Pat McAfee is going to be an attraction against Gunther. Gunther needs to absolutely squash him, or Goldberg needs to come and save Pat McAfee. This could honestly just be a vehicle to get Goldberg back into WWE and get that match against Gunther. Remember, we do have 2 nights of SummerSlam coming up. They need to fill 2 whole nights with marquee matches. That could be one. And then we had this main event right here, this epic confrontation between Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins wants Sami Zayn to take the offer to go to Friday Night SmackDown, and he will get a WWE title match against either John Cena or Randy Orton, whoever wins at Backlash. Seems like a pretty good deal. Sami Zayn, that is something you have wanted forever. And if in the grand scheme of things in WWE is getting to the championship, it makes you wonder, why didn't you take it, Sami? Sami instead decided to look like probably one of the most dumb baby faces you could. And while I still love Sami Zayn, and I think he's legitimately one of the most electric baby faces that make you want to run through a wall, you have to question the decision making from Sami Zayn here. He was warned countless times. There was a better opportunity offered to him, and he absolutely deserves that opportunity. He didn't listen to Karrion Kross here, and as a result, Sami Zayn got his head stomped in. He got speared like 4 or 5 times. The match against Bron Breakker got called off because he got beat to a pulp so badly, and then Rollins, at the very end of the night, still stomped his head in. You can't trust this visionary right now, so you should have got the hell off of Monday Night Raw, Sami. That's a con. And there's another con, unfortunately. It's the very end of the show where after all of this work to try to get Sami Zayn and the fans behind Sami Zayn, fans were chanting and singing Seth Rollins' theme song at the end of the night. Sami Zayn lost the crowd from being a bit of a dumb babyface. I still root for Sami. Everybody out here should root for Sami Zayn. But the crowd turned on him that night, and it makes me wonder, is Sami Zayn going in the direction of turning heel? Does Sami Zayn listen to everything Seth Rollins is saying? Was this essentially a sacrifice here? Like, does Sami Zayn see the greater good? Or is this just part of a larger plan where Sami Zayn is finally going to overcome the odds and eventually win the world title at WrestleMania next year? We'll see. But yeah, major con for Sami Zayn at the end of the night. However, major pro for this entire segment. What a segment to build up a chase for Sami Zayn. If that's what's going to happen here, if this is the long game of Sami Zayn chasing a world title, if Seth Rollins wins that world title, oh, we got something. Do you wish that you could watch every Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and every WWE PLE all ad-free on Netflix? Well, if the answer was yes, and I'm sure it was, you should probably consider getting yourself a little VPN. But Con, where on earth do I get one of those? You are definitely asking yourself right now. Well, I got you covered. Thanks to our sponsor Surfshark, you can now see everything that I see. No more awkward picture-in-picture moments. No longer do you have to guess what happened during the commercial breaks. That's right, you can see the New Day be disrespected instead in real time, commercial-free. And not only are you able to watch ad-free, but you'll be able to access and unblock other streaming services, change your location to over 3,000 servers in 100 countries, and browse safely thanks to Surfshark's antivirus. And best of all, you can try this risk-free thanks to their 30-day money-back guarantee. All you got to do is go to surfshark.com/conman or use the code CONMAN at checkout for 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Now, let's get on back to this video. Now, with all that being said, it's time to yap some more. It's time to get into the hot takes portion of pros and cons. Let's take a look at what you thought of Monday Night Raw. I'm loving this group. Seth wanted Sami to take the out that Paul laid out to him, and Sami said no. The vision is clear. I think we're setting up a long-term story where it's Seth Rollins versus the Royal Rumble winner, Sami Zayn, for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 42. Man, if this is the long play right here of Seth Rollins versus Sami Zayn for the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania 42, dude, I'm so in on this story. I love the idea of Sami Zayn potentially winning the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia and having this underdog story of a man who didn't believe in the vision of Seth Rollins. His best friend, well, not his best friend. I mean, who knows who his best friend is anymore? Kevin Owens is gone and now Seth Rollins is gone. But one of his closest friends of 20 years, this guy has been by his side through thick and thin, and now Rollins sees a vision that doesn't really include Sami Zayn. Stomping Sami's head into the mat did one of two things. It either woke Sami up and is going to make that man one of the most dangerous baby faces on the roster who is so determined to get his lick back on Seth Rollins, or it's going to wake him up in a different way to see the vision. If we think about it, Karrion Kross has been in the ear of Sami Zayn, just chit-chatting away, wearing his hair like Sami Zayn as well. By the way, shout out Karrion Kross, you're doing an amazing job. But he's been in his ear, the devil on his shoulder, trying to get Sami Zayn to listen and to see what he's talking about. And everything Karrion Kross has mentioned is actually happening right now to Sami Zayn. He got his head stomped in by one of his friends after he turned down an opportunity to go after the WWE Championship. That's a big opportunity to turn down, bro. And so either Sami Zayn is joining alongside of Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker and Paul Heyman, or Sami Zayn is just going to be the biggest fighter going up against this faction for the next year. Let me know, what do you think is next for Sami? Because I'm really intrigued as to what they got planned. I love this man. I truly do. I got a freaking cardboard cutout in the background, but I need to know what's next. I expect Pat versus Gunther to be the match that sets up Gunther versus Goldberg at SummerSlam. Goldberg has been known as the guy who doesn't like bullies from his WCW days, and I can definitely see him coming after Gunther, seeing him as a bully. Gunther versus Goldberg, I think, is going down at SummerSlam this year. It's been a slow burn to get to this match, but if there is one more match for Goldberg, it's Gunther. I mean, we've already laid the groundwork between Gunther and Goldberg back at Bad Blood, and it hasn't led anywhere yet, so we're just starting to wonder, is this actually going to take place? But if this is the case, that we have Goldberg come out and save Pat McAfee, that is a very easy way to get the fans behind Goldberg again and to get them excited for a Gunther versus Goldberg matchup. Now, in no way at all should Gunther lose this match to Goldberg. If they do enter that ring, Goldberg needs to take the L to Gunther, and it needs to be a convincing L as well. Not just him getting by, not just somehow him escaping with the win. No. Gunther needs to destroy Goldberg, and that needs to be the end of Bill in the ring. Like, Gunther is one of the most dangerous men on the WWE roster right now, and seeing him destroy Goldberg after destroying Pat McAfee will really add up and push him right back into that world title scene. I think there's a little bit of damage control going on right now for Gunther after he tapped out to Jey Uso at WrestleMania. And so getting him a big time win over somebody like Goldberg in the future would help out a lot. It also gives Gunther the opportunity to do something away from the championship. And right now, I don't see any path back to the world title for him right now. Jey Uso's going to do his thing. And then we got over on WWE John Cena. Unless you're going to... Over on SmackDown, I should say, John Cena. Unless you are going to actually build up a babyface Gunther versus a heel John Cena, I don't see a world where that makes sense. So yeah, build up to Goldberg versus Gunther. It'd be a great match for SummerSlam. The same crowd that cheered for Sami to reject Seth started chanting one more time for Spears and ended the show doing a sing-along with Rollins. Crowds are getting worse by the week. Something happened at WrestleMania. That WrestleMania weekend seemed to flip the entire crowd on WWE's booking. It's been a strange vibe in the IWC since WrestleMania 41, even since the SmackDown before WrestleMania. For whatever reason, there has been just a shift in fan rooting. Like, people are hearing constantly right now, it's shoved down their throats that WWE is scripted. They've got these behind the scenes shows. They are showing everything. They're pulling back the curtain even more. And so if you're going to tell fans all the time that this is a scripted show that you are watching, there's a good chance that the fans are going to start saying, okay, well then screw it. I'm going to root for the good guy. Not the good guy. I'm going to root for the bad guy instead of the good guy. Why? Because a lot of the time, bad guys are cooler than the good guys. And right now, some of the good guys are coming across as giant nerds. Cody Rhodes looked weak at WrestleMania 41. Sami Zayn looked kind of dumb on Monday Night Raw. These are some of your purest baby faces. Jey Uso was getting labeled as just a one-man catchphrase. Like, that's really all that was going on in the babyface side of things right now, and fans were starting to turn on them. Do I think it's fair? No. But do I think it's understandable? Absolutely. I wish the fans would be able to buy into the stories that are going on, but you can't fault them either if they choose to root for the cooler characters. And again, when you're shoving it down their throats that what they are watching right now isn't really all that quote unquote real, I can understand why fans might want to buy into the heels. But one thing that we have to realize here is also that Seth Rollins isn't necessarily being booked as a true, honest, full-on heel. He has a purpose. He has a vision, if you will. And Rollins is going and to what he thinks is the right direction. Rollins is doing what he's got to do. And there's, of course, going to be fans that buy into that as well. So if you just present a cool character and you have some nerds going up against the cool character 9 times out of 10, you're gonna root for the cool character. Easy way to get rid of this, if you want fans to not sing Seth Rollins' theme song at the end of the night, change Seth Rollins' theme song. I know it's not a popular choice. People like it. People enjoy the sing-along. But if this man is truly a heel, get rid of it. Rhea and Io teaming together makes no sense to me. For like the past 3 months, they have been beefing with each other, Rhea pushing Io by the face and Io beating Rhea every single time, and now all of the sudden they are friends and teaming. I get where you're coming from. I can understand why seeing Rhea and Io tagging together isn't like the most natural progression in this story. They were at odds with each other the entire road to WrestleMania, and now Rhea's got Io's back in a little bit of a way, even though Rhea still wants the championship. It almost feels as if Rhea is saying nobody else is going to get to put their hands on you until I do. I have your back because I want you at 100% so I can finally beat you. This also is a great way to progress a storyline without really needing to have the two fight each other. You have Rhea and Io interact for a little bit since they're both on the babyface side of things. You have them team together to go up against a threat that is posed against them. It's almost like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's the story that we're being told right now with Io and Rhea. I found Pat quite entertaining tonight on the mic. I get others don't like him, but today he was doing great. Pat was awesome, man. I loved his promo. Everything about it was perfect in my opinion. He got a lot of backlash on social media over the last few weeks. People voicing their opinions, saying he doesn't really belong on commentary, saying that he did some things that were really not the best, blah, 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 all that stuff. The IWC was after him for the last few weeks. Pat McAfee heard all of it. He stood up on that desk and he said it with his full chest, basically, fuck you. Pat McAfee really didn't care what the IWC had to say, and like, I get it, man. It blew over within a week. It really was just loud noise for a little bit, and people won't like hearing that, but Pat McAfee is great at his job. Is he a great human being? I don't know. I've never met him. He seems like he may be good at times, and then maybe other times not the best. But at the end of the day, I think he brings an electricity to that announce table that we have not seen in years. He's brought the best out of Michael Cole, where we went from saying Michael Cole was just a guy who was there, he was Vince's puppet, to now being considered one of the greatest, if not the greatest ring commentator, match commentator, commentary man of all time, whatever you want to call him. Pat McAfee brought that out of Michael Cole, and if there's anything Pat did, he brought the best out of Michael Cole, right? So Pat McAfee said it with his whole chest, hell of a promo, and I can't wait to see what goes down between Gunther and Pat now. Lyra needed to ace that promo with Becky. I think this feud will push her to world title area if done right. Lyra Valkyria crushed her promo against Becky Lynch. My goodness, that was an excellent promo going up against Becky, talking all about how she doesn't want to be the next Becky Lynch. She wants to be the first Lyra Valkyria, and that she is going to be a better person than Becky ever was, and she already knows she's a better wrestler. Oh man, they just lit this feud on fire. I can't wait for it at Backlash. And it's awesome to see the Women's Intercontinental Championship finally getting featured in a big way. This feels now like the workhorse title. It feels like WWE is positioning the Women's IC Championship to be the stepping stone to bigger and better things. You're gonna have to go through the IC title before you get back to the main event scene, like it should be. For years in the men's division, the IC title was viewed as the stepping stone to bigger and better things. Everybody who won that title at some point along the way seemingly gets an opportunity, maybe not everybody, but most people seemingly get an opportunity near the main event scene. It's generally viewed as a big deal. And Becky Lynch going after the IC title at a PLE against somebody who has looked up to her whole life, yeah, that's a great story. And there's a really good chance as well that Becky Lynch is going to win the IC championship here from Lyra Valkyria. We've got this feud already being set for Bayley in the future, and can you imagine what a feud between Becky Lynch and Bayley would look like over the IC championship? If you mix in Lyra Valkyria there as well, you got a really cool story to be told. And also, Becky Lynch winning the IC championship just adds a little bit of legitimacy to the title, the name value. Seeing her walk around with the championship might elevate it for the next person who takes it off of her, whether that's Lyra, whether that's Bayley, or hell, maybe it's somebody else that we don't know. Regardless, this is an excellent feud for the IC championship. I'm so happy that it's going down at a PLE. Both Lyra and Becky do deserve to be able to put on a show, and I think that match is going to be awesome. It might even steal the night. They need Fraxium or some other team move to Raw. SmackDown already has plenty of talent in the tag team division, and Raw isn't necessarily lacking talent there, but I believe the tag team booking has been pretty mid on Raw. Fraxium would be a new and exciting team. Yeah, the Raw tag team division right now is lacking a little bit of top-end talent or exciting new talent, and Fraxium moving to Raw would have been the right call. I do believe Fraxium has more exciting matchups over on SmackDown. If you look at the talent that they have there, DIY, Motor City Machine Guns, Pretty Deadly, Los Garzas, like there's a lot of great tag team talent that meshes with their style in the ring. But I also can't help but think that Fraxium versus the Judgment Day, Fraxium versus the War Raiders, Fraxium versus A-Town Down Under wouldn't be great matches. And with how crowded the SmackDown tag division seems right now, a natural move for Fraxium over to Raw would allow them to go up against the New Day eventually as well for those tag team titles. And then it just feels like that tag division's a lot fresher, a lot more exciting. There has been rumors also of a WWE draft potentially happening. I don't know if that's going to be the case anymore. Usually after WrestleMania, they announce if a draft is coming, and there hasn't been anything like that. So it might just be a straight up trade that happens. Or hell, for all we know, Fraxium just remains over on Friday Night SmackDown. But Monday Night Raw definitely needs a new tag team over there, whoever they may be, because like right now, it's running on life support. Wild take, but I think Austin Theory and Ethan Page should complete Rollins' new faction. New potential tag team, but they're winning all the time. I just see these two coexisting really well. You might be onto something here. There's a potential split happening between A-Town Down Under, and there's been lots of rumors around Austin Theory potentially going with Seth Rollins. Rollins and Theory go back to the days of the Monday Night Messiah. Rollins did have Austin Theory as one of his disciples, so I wonder if maybe they are going to lean into that more. Austin Theory really has been lost since the change in management, and he hasn't been viewed at the same level. I mean, he went from cashing in his Money in the Bank briefcase to, well, failing to cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase on the United States title. That's a far drop. Now, he did win tag team gold alongside of his tag team partner in Grayson Waller, but ever since then, you know, the tag team has just been running on life support as well. Like, they have been constantly bickering. Grayson Waller now has a singles match on his own. It's the time to split those two. And if Theory had a reason for turning and joining Seth Rollins, then you could absolutely see Grayson Waller going off on his own and doing his own thing, while Theory continues to learn under the guide of Rollins. Like, Rollins has this vision for the future, and if you look at Austin Theory, he's got absolutely everything you could possibly want in a WWE star. He just is not quite connecting with the audience the way that they would hope. Putting Theory alongside of Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, and Rollins would be amazing, But then if you also added in Ethan Page, oh, that dynamic to complete that group could be really, really cool. That then feels like a true Evolution 2.0. And what I like the most about that is that the veteran presence is Paul Heyman. And honestly, Seth Rollins in a way. Seth Rollins would be like the Triple H of the group. Paul Heyman is his own guy. Like, he's like the Ric Flair of the group with all the experience that he has, but not a wrestler. And then can you imagine adding in 3 young guns like that? Adding in Bron Breakker, who is absolutely a future world champion. Austin Theory, who could be molded into a future world champion. And then if you have like Ethan Page there, well, then you've got this young, bright star on the rise who looks the part, right? Ethan Page, if anything, looks the part. The more I talk about it, I think Austin Theory is a great fit and Ethan Page is a little bit of a long shot. But either way, Theory in this group or Page in this group would be a great fit. What if Karrion Kross is the third man and he's in cahoots with Paul Heyman? AJ told Kross to solve things himself, and he said that maybe he would. Could this be what he meant? The idea of Karrion Kross going back into a faction is a unique idea, but I also think Karrion Kross is doing some of his best work right now, that adding him into a faction would be either make or break for his character. It would either elevate him to a whole new level, or it would make him fade into the background and not be able to present himself the way he has been. The way he is getting into people's ears, being the catalyst for change in WWE, turning basically everybody he feuds with into a bad guy at some point, making them embrace their darker side. It's really interesting to see the work that Karrion Kross does. It's all the little details in his character, from how he wears his hair, how he speaks to the people he's talking to, the message he's trying to get across. Everything about Kross is connecting right now, and I'm not sure if putting him with Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins, and Bron Breakker is the best call to elevate his career. If he was in this position 6 months ago, I think that makes a lot more sense because people were starting to get behind Kross. He was getting a little more love online. People wanted to see more of him. But now, I think people want to see more of Karrion Kross, the character. I think people want to see more of Kross and Scarlett side by side, not Kross in the background looking tough and menacing. They want him to be the main character. He's got to continue to be like this manipulator in WWE, the puppet master of the WWE. So while it's a cool idea to put him with Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins and all of that, it also might neuter the character that he has been working so hard to establish. He's getting himself over on his own. It's organic with the crowd. We don't need to force it at this point. Hell, I would even take a babyface Kross in the future if he was going up against a heel faction like that. Like, people want to root for Kross right now. There's no doubt about it. And especially after he cut that amazing promo, man. If you haven't seen it, you need to check it out. Kross just completely buried Triple H and everybody in creative right there, saying how hard he has worked his ass off. And it seems like he made everybody pay attention to him. He's now literally on TV every single Monday, and he's getting more and more screen time. Why not lean into Kross as a solo character? There's no need to put him with a faction. But those are your pros and cons. Let me know any others that you have down in the comments section below. And also be sure to leave a like on this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications, and keep coming back every single day because we upload wrestling videos every single day. This subathon is almost done, so videos are returning back to their normal schedule as well as our Patreon schedule. So make sure you check that out. Link in the description below. But thanks again for watching. Have a great day.